Good morning, everyone. As I sip on my coffee, we're going to talk about the positive things that happened this week. For 4 years, we're talking about the negative things that were happening in our government, at least for the short term. There's a major reversal going on. The left is still fighting tooth and nail. The federal judges are blocking anything and everything they can. And we got some victories on that this week. The Supreme Court ruled on a number of cases. We're going to look at some of those. One quick interjection just to have a balance here. We do have one bit of bad news. Jimmy Swaggart finally passed. He was 90 years old, so he got his money's worth. But after over 60 years in ministry, he's gone home. So he's in better shape now than we are. And he's earned enough crowns to suit most people. He did have a fall a few years back, but repented, asked for forgiveness, and got back in the saddle and started working again and serving the Lord. So the lesson is that everyone's human, everyone sins, everyone is going to fall at some point. It's just whether you keep sitting down or whether you stand up and get back on the saddle, figuratively. All right, I did want to focus on the Supreme Court ruling, so I've gone to a site called SCOTUS blog, SCOTUSBLOG.com. SCOTUS is our Supreme Court. So they have a number of articles here. First one, Supreme Court sides with Trump administration on nationwide injunction in birthright citizenship case. If you're not aware, the law that allows you to be born here and be an automatic citizen was passed after the Civil War to give those freed slaves who were here a chance to bring, since they were imported forcibly, allowed to bring their family here and they would become citizens, allowed to have their children here and become citizens. That's what the law was passed for. It was setting things right that were made wrong initially. But it's being used by illegals all over the world who are coming here pregnant, having their babies. They're not allowed to a lot of times, and sometimes they come in long before their term, find a place to hide and wait until they have their baby, and then they can go home with a U.S. citizen. And now they can become one too because of it. So, Justice has held injunctions that universal injunctions that exceeded the equitable authority granted to federal courts by Congress. The court's opinion does not address whether the executive order is legal or not, but there's an executive order stopping it. Congress has to step in on every executive order, and they're doing so very slowly. Closing the book on the term. Emergency docket, President Trump's birthright citizenship. Again, another ruling, another comment on that. Made it clear right from the court, the injunctions are not legitimate. Court also allowed a Texas law on age verification for pornography sites. They wanted to have an age limitation. Of course, the adult entertainment business said, no, it's free speech. We can do whatever we want. No, you can't. Free speech doesn't cover everything. You can't run into a crowded place and yell fire and claim free speech. That would cause a panic. There are limitations to free speech. And another one here, the court allows parents to opt their children out of lessons involving LGBT. We didn't win every state. There's still blue states out there that are allowing this, even though the courts Even though the president has signed executive orders banning this type of stuff, the blue states are ignoring all the president's rules, waiting for the Supreme Court to step in. Well, they did here. Parents can opt their children out of it. They don't have to read their books, listen to lessons about it. So this is a major reversal of the previous administration. And there's plenty more down the pike. Okay, come on, Kitty. I'm going to show everybody Kitty, because he's here, but I don't know that he's going to be nice. We're going to have to wait and see. Lie down. No, he wants to grab me and play. And he bites. So I don't think he's going to stay here very long. Come on. Whoop, whoop. Come here. Come here. Kitty, kitty. Okay, go away. All right, so now I'm going to just take a look at headlines. We're going to talk about these. I look at YouTube headlines, and I try to look at what the channel is to decide whether I want to look at it or not. But even CNN came out and said that Trump is winning across the board. They had to admit it. Of course, Trump has been picking on CNN lately because they've been one of the ones guilty of all the lies coming out. So again, it's finally over. Message on Jimmy Swaggart. A couple of bills on the Supreme Court rulings. The Senate's approved the Trump's budget bill. If you're not aware how this works, the House creates it in its entirety with more stuff than it should have. That's typically the way they do it. It goes to the Senate, they whittle it down, finalize it, and pass it, and then it has to go back to the House for approval or modification. If they modify it, it can go back and forth until they get it right. Once it's finally approved by both House and Senate, then it goes to the President to sign. This is a budget bill. It's got spending cuts and it's got other things, but the Republicans don't have absolute control of the House and Senate. They have a very soft majority because there's rhinos in there that can tip it. Republicans in name only. These are Democrats that lied their way in. Despicable Democrats lied their way in as Republicans, and now they vote Democrat. They should be kicked out for that. But the House and Senate has the little rules to protect people for doing that. Occasionally, not very often, but occasionally, the Republicans get to do it. But most of the time, it's the Democrats that are doing it. We've had I like to follow Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's scientifically pretty good. He's not a Christian, but he said he's not against it. He just doesn't have enough information. He's playing the scientific role, even though there's more than enough information out there. But I still watch him because he's still open-minded, and he talks about science, and I love science. Polaris just exploded, a star out there. Stars have a life. Millions of years. Get the ball. Get the ball. Oh, you can't get that. Hang on. Let me go get his ball. He's happy now. I get the ball out. He looks at it and walks away. That's a typical cat. Okay. Jack Hibbs, preacher out in California, I like to watch. Tucker Carlson, who used to be very conservative, has basically switched sides. I don't know if it's genuine or not, but he's not making conservatives happy with his position on things, so be careful of Tucker Carlson. Got a short video from Mondo Gonzalez. He's part of the Hope for Our Prophecy Watchers. Got to get their sites right. Prophecy Watchers, a good channel with Gary Stearman, who's coming on age, so he's got some younger people now to carry it on. Stearman being related to the Stearman airplane, the biplane. I'm an aviation fan too, so I'm aware of that. All right, what else do we have? Again, Prophecy Watchers. They have guests on all the time. Looks like they have Terry James on this one. If you just scroll down through here and look, you can see this stuff. They're refurbishing the launch site where they were not the launch site, but the test site. The Starship exploded, Starship 36, on the test pad. This is still a testing situation, but the whole rocket blew up while they were trying to light the engines and make sure it was working. It didn't. It blew up. So now they got to go in and refurbish the launch site because it blew up, destroying parts of it. A geyser erupts in Reno, Nevada. I'm not exactly sure where this is. This looks like it might be north of town. Interesting. There's a lot of thermal activity going on underneath the crust. These things can happen. So that was an interesting article. I grew up part of my life in Reno, so I know about that. Here's Country Gospel Spirit 24/7. You can get live gospel music on this channel. Another one shows a nice stream coming down through some hills. Amazing place to relax. Beautiful birdsong, calming river. I can just look outside and see all that and hear all that, but if you need to get that from your home, wherever you are in the city, that's how you can do that. This channel I don't trust. CN News 18. Don't trust it. It says Israel begins attacks on Iran again. I don't know. I'll have to find more information on it. Jimmy Evans, another good preacher to watch. 1,290 days until the second rapture. Well, we haven't had the first one yet. And see, that's the problem. We don't know when things start. We know once they start, we have a timeline for what's going to happen during the tribulation time frame, or at least after the rapture. So he can talk about that. Pete Hegseth talking to the media. Leave war to us. Don't get in and tell us how to run a war. You don't know how to run a war. We've had the media running wars before. I don't know if you remember one of our Middle East attacks was coming in. The news media got on the shore with lights and cameras as the Marines landed on the beach, going in to do some military action. I forget what it was, but I do remember that the media was there with bright lights saying, "Here comes the Marines!" on their sneak attack. Keep the media completely out. You can embed a journalist, but you've got to vet what he says and when he says it. You can't just release. You don't have freedom of speech on the war front. There's another site I like to watch, City Prepping. This guy talks about what I agree with, being prepared. And he covers a lot of different things like what's going on in the world as far as Iran, the threat just got worse. Well, we know that Iran backed out of any agreement with the International Nuclear Regulatory Committee. I forget the acronym, but they've been, quote, sort of overseeing Iran, knowing, of course, that they couldn't do anything about it, and they couldn't get in, but they had cameras in a lot of the facilities. Well, if you know there's a camera up there, you just don't do something in front of it. You do it over to the side. And that's what they've been doing, but Iran just turned off all the cameras. They don't want to stop doing what they're doing. Trump wanted peace at any cost. I don't agree with that totally. It's nice to want peace, but you've left They call us the great Satan. It's usually, remember when someone's pointing, you got 3 fingers pointing back. Well, Iran's been pointing at us, but 3 fingers were pointing back at them. They are the great Satan. And Hamas and Hezbollah are the little Satans. It's Satan's religion. Okay, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Hope for Our Times is up here today in prophecy. That's a good message you can get. Don Stewart, another good preacher. He does breaking news. This one's from yesterday, talking about things going on. If you want just quick update on what's going on, even quicker than what I'm doing, you can watch this. His is 17 minutes. I don't know how long this is going to be, but close to it. But he covers what's going on biblically in the news. So, Don Stewart. We got Caroline up here giving the updates on what's going on at the White House. Very open government for a change, where we get to see what's going on. Okay, so we're starting to get back now. We're repeating Jimmy Evans now. NASA's having trouble with their rocket. Tesla just made history ahead of schedule. They just delivered something autonomously. They're getting their self-driving cars to drive. Here's an oldie but a goodie. Pastor Chuck Smith, Ezekiel 38 and 39. He's a good old pastor. He's gone on to the Lord. But I used to go to his church remotely, not all the time, because he was a long way, he was over an hour away. When I was stationed in Long Beach, he was south of us. We'd go down there, because I heard about what he was doing. He was having concerts, Christian concerts, with all kinds of Christian folk singers and other groups in there. And he was packing the house with young people on Saturday night. And I got there late one time and had to sit in an overflow room. Taught me not to be late. He had so many people, he had to put a circus tent up, big one, to be able to handle it. So we got Maranatha music out of it, and all the great singers back then. All right, that's pretty much all I want to talk about. It's still moving forward. We still don't know the date of the rapture. Just got to be ready. We've still got plenty of work to do. We're going to have work to do the day of the rapture, because we don't have the majority of the world. The majority of the world are not Christians, and even some that say they are not Christians. Sad to say. Now, we can't judge whether someone is or not. Only God knows. So don't go pointing fingers at people because they're not acting like Christians and say they are. Just point out their behavior, but don't point out and say you're not a Christian. You don't know. People sin as Christians all the time. We're still tempted. We can hold up the armor of God, or the Word of God, and use it as a sword to cut away at their attacks, but we can't stop it. That's why there's armor of God. It's a spiritual battle. I've noticed my trailer's rocking too much. I'm going to have to go back and mess with the jacks on it. Rabbit trail, you try to level it so that you're fine, and it sits on tires. You can't get it up off the tires, but it holds, the majority of the weight. You level it so that it doesn't rock too much, because tires are soft and it tends to rock. I tried to level it because my air conditioning is not draining properly. It's draining right onto the roof. Well, it's been so hot that the little thin layer of water is just evaporating. So I've got a nice evaporation table up there, which is okay. But it really should be draining to, there's corner spigots, the corner parts of the trough that's up there that should be taking the water down over the side. And I noticed I wasn't getting any of that. I was over at my friend's and his was draining. And I'm going, mine doesn't do that. Well, I can't get it level for some reason, or it has to be slightly off, I think. But it doesn't have to be enough that you feel it. But I can't do it because of the ground that I'm on apparently has a slight level offset to it, and I can't compensate. So it's going to have to keep doing what it's doing. The roof is not leaking there. The water that I had in is because one of my lights on the outside light has a cracked lens, and it's raining so hard at times that it's getting in there, and that's where that water's coming in. Same thing on the other side. I have another light on the other side that's leaking. I can seal the one over here, but I got to replace the lens on the other one. It's not my trailer. They're not going to spend any money on it. It's a county trailer. So I have to periodically just spend a little bit of money, $25, $30 a month maybe, fixing things. They're allowing me to stay in it for free. Not rent-free. I still pay rent, but I get to stay in the trailer for free because I'm fixing it and doing things for it. All right. I'm in a very blessed place right now. I pray that it continues. As long as God wants me here, it continues. The minute He wants me to move someplace else, it will be discontinued, and I won't have any say over it. You can't take things personal when God is redirecting you. He's got your best interests at heart while He's having you serve Him. He knows what you need and what you like. You're going to be happy eventually with whatever situation is. You just have to get used to change. Some people don't like change. They fear it because it's the unknown. Trust God and you won't have a problem. The lights are bright again. I've noticed that when the lights are bright inside, because it's morning, it's not bright enough outside, my beard looks whiter than it does if the lights are not quite so bright. So my beard changes colors, it seems like. I'm not adding color to it. If it seems darker, it's because I've got darker lighting. The phone adapts to it. I probably need a new phone here because this is about 3 years old now, and they've got newer, better technology out. Technology doubles every 6 months, it seems like. Kitty's running around over in the chair. He's fun to watch as long as he's not attacking. Kitty. 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 He's too busy playing to bother with me. All right. Be kind to everybody. We're on a short time frame, but can't tell you when. Everybody's thinking it's this year. If it's not this year, every biblical scholar, timeline analyst is going to have to go back and rethink. We don't really know. We can't give you a day, but we can give you a time frame by looking at what's going on around us. There's nothing left. The rapture is the next biblical event to happen. And the rapture is in the Bible, despite people who say it's not. Rapture is a word derived from the Latin translation of the Greek. So it's in the Latin Bible. Harpazo. Rapture is coming. Guaranteed. And we believe in pre-trib because we believe the verses that say that we are in the way of the Antichrist coming. We have to be out of the way before the Antichrist becomes the Antichrist. Those of us that believe the rapture is imminent believe the Antichrist is alive and well here today, going about his business, making a name for himself, doing good in the world so that people will accept him. He's going to be killed, and when he comes back, he's going to be the Antichrist. The human side is going to die, a demon's going to possess him, and he will be the Antichrist. While he's alive, he's not the Antichrist as a human. When he's resurrected, then he will be the Antichrist. And we know the story. We have a relatively short list of people. He may be on the list, he may not be. But it's going to be one of the ruling elites that's in the world today. So we have a relatively short list. So be ready. So what I got to do to be ready? You don't have to go pack a bag, But make sure spiritually you're ready. The lamp and the oils for the 10 virgins, oil represents the Spirit. Make sure you're filled with the Spirit constantly so you're ready to go. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.